Hi, EP kids. We're going to show you today the baritone and the tuba. Baritone, tuba. First of all, you want to make sure that you're opening your case correctly by having the badge sticking up towards the ceiling. As you notice on the baritone case, which some of you may have, your badge is actually right here next to your handle. As long as you can read it and it says Yamaha, your position is correct and your case is in the right position to be opened correctly and not have things fall out all over the place. Once again, please make sure that you don't open your case like this, because these are heavy instruments, and as soon as you open them, everything will fall out. You don't want to have a dent in your instrument. You don't want to accidentally drop it in some kind of way, shape, or form, because these are very sensitive instruments and they don't like to be beat on. So, you want to make sure that your badge is facing towards the ceiling, or you can read the Yamaha symbol on your case, okay, just by looking at it. Then what you want to do is you want to flip your latches. If you have latches like this, you're just going to pull up, comes down just like that, boom, boom. Then you open said case. Now, in your case, for the most part, you should have your mouthpiece. You should have valve oil. You should have the instrument itself. And in some cases, you'll have something called a mouthpiece brush as well, and slide grease. But right now, that is what should come in your case. And if you haven't ordered it yet, you can order it online, or just talk to your band director about it.
I am going to go over how to oil the valves. Making sure your valves are always properly oiled will make your playing much more fun. So, to oil the valve, you need to take out the valve. Only take out one valve at a time. They do need to go in their specific spots. If you take out all three and put them in wrong spots, air will not go through your instrument. So, we're going to start with the first valve. And when I take this valve out, I make sure that I take this part off, the big part of the screw. Do not unscrew the cap. I'm going to show you on the tuba what can happen if you unscrew the cap. So if you unscrew that cap, we will pull this valve out. If you unscrew this cap, it can actually release the valve guide. And this is the guide that is supposed to show you how it goes into the valve itself. If you release it and it spins, your valve will go into the case incorrectly and will block the air from going through the horn. If it is in the correct spot, it will be stuck in that little hole and you'll be able to see the big hole. If for some reason your valve has gotten spun and the valve guide has come loose and has gone into the big hole, that will not let air through. That is incorrect. You need to be able to see the big hole and make sure this stays tight. So that is why when you are unscrewing the valve, you do the large part. And then it will come straight out. Make sure your instrument is not upside down, because there is a spring in here and you do not want to lose the spring. So make sure your instrument is just laying sideways but not upside down, so you don't lose the spring. Now you take your oil and you put just a little bit on the silver part. Not too much, and make sure you have a rag under you so it's not dripping on your mom's favorite carpeting. Once you have the valve oiled, you gently drop it back into its case, wiggling it until it drops in, and do not pressure it once it gets stopped. What is stopping it is the valve guide. Now the valve guide is trying to find the place that it needs to line up, and if you spin it, it'll find the notch. I will show you the notch right there. It'll find the notch where it'll line up to. Again, gently drop in, just wiggling it. It gets stopped, then spin it until it drops in, and tighten the valve back down. That is how you oil your valves. The difference between the two instruments is that this is a side, the valves are facing up, And this is called a side valve tuba. And so this tuba has the valves in front, and you reach around the front to play this instrument. You can have the top facing valves or the side facing valves on the instrument. They're both the same. This is finger 1 on both of them. This is finger 2, and this is finger 3. Now we're going to show you how to properly hold the instrument.
All right. So, properly hold the instrument. First thing you want to do is you're going to want to put your instrument down on the ground. Normally when you want to put your instrument down on the ground, especially a tuba or a baritone, what you want to do is you want to flip it over onto its bell. So it goes down flat like this. Then we want to start off by making sure that we are sitting up straight. We're on the front edge of our chair in some cases. Some of us have shorter legs, so it might be a little bit harder for us to be always on the front edge of the chair, but that's okay. But you want to make sure that you are sitting up nice and tall and straight, no slouching, no humpback or anything like that. Nice and tall, and making sure that your feet, if you can reach the ground, are flat on the ground. For the tuba, what you'll get is a stand. This is a tuba stand to help you hold the instrument and make sure that you have a proper posture and embouchure when you're playing the instrument. If you notice, the tuba stand usually comes with its legs closed in. You're going to unscrew this little screw here, and you're going to open up the tripod. And then you're going to tighten the screw. Sometimes you can get away without tightening the screw because you're not going to be moving it too much. And then the next part you want to do is you want to make sure that it's level so it works for you and your height. So if you notice here, we have a screw, we unloosen that, and then we have what is a telescoping kind of stand or seated area for your instrument. Once you've gotten it to the right height, you put it back down, you screw it in, and then you take your tuba, and for those of you that might be a little bit smaller, this might be a little bit harder for you to do, so just be careful when you're doing it. If you need to stand up and do it, that's okay. But what you want to do is you want to grab the tuba from the bottom, turn it up, and then put the bottom part of the tuba into the stand. Then what you want to do is you want to adjust the stand and the tuba to you, so that you can sit and play properly like this. Cool? So that's for the tuba. For the baritone, you'll do similarly the same thing, but what you're going to do is you're going to lift it up, as you can see, and you're going to put it onto your right thigh, okay? Some kids, in some cases, put it onto their right thigh. Some kids have a pillow, depending on how tall they are. They'll put this pillow in their lap, and they'll help to raise the baritone up a little bit or down a little bit, whatever works for you. And you want to make sure that you're holding the instrument straight up and down. Sometimes we play with a little bit of a tilt, as you see here, so that the sound can come out a little bit more. It makes it a little bit easier to see your music as well. You want to make sure that when you are playing a tuba or a baritone, that you are always playing with your fingers in an arch fashion, almost like a claw in a way, okay? You want the pads of your fingertips to be on the tops of the pearls of your valves, okay? You want to always play like this, never like this. It makes it very difficult to play fast, and it just doesn't feel good, okay? So you want to make sure that everything is nice and curved, all right? Just like on the baritone, same on the tuba, all right?
Now we're going to go over the first few notes on the instruments. They actually have the exact same fingerings and names, but the tuba will be playing an octave lower than the baritone. So for a low B flat, you will leave no valves touched down. So it says a 0 underneath your note. That means do not touch any of the valves down. Now to warm up, we will go a little bit of buzzing on our mouthpiece. And to buzz, we moisten our lips, put our lips together, and blow the air through, holding our lips nice and firm to create that sound. Then we will use our fingers on our mouthpiece very lightly and create the sound in the mouthpiece. If we relax our lips and pull our lips apart, we get a low buzz, which is even lower on the tuba. If I put my lips firmer together and blow faster air, I get a high buzz. And the tuba? Practicing the low and the high is called a siren. We need to be able to control both of those pitches because on our instrument, you can get several notes with the same fingerings. For example, a low B flat without any fingers is exactly the same as a high F, but only changing our face. So again, relaxing our face, we'll get the low B flat without any fingers. Firming it up, we'll get the high F without any fingers. The other notes on both the instruments, again, are fingered the same way. The B flat has no fingers. The C is what we call 1 and 3. It looks like 13 in your book, but it's actually valve 1 and valve 3 will give you the C. A D is not 12, but valve 1 and valve 2. That is the D. An E flat is valve 1 and back to the F, which is no fingers. We'll go over those together on baritone first. A B flat. Now try a C, valves 1 and 3. Now try a D, valve 1 and 2. An E flat, valve 1, and an F, open. From high to low, F, E flat, D, low C, B flat. Now we will play those 5 notes on the tuba.
So, low B flat, C, D, E flat, F. And then what you can do is you can do a little bit of a long note competition on each note if you want. So I'm just going to play a couple of them kind of long. That was F. Here's E flat. D. C. And B flat.
Now we'll put our instruments away. You will simply take off the mouthpiece and unscrew it slightly and put it in its case. There's 2 holes. You can put it in either one of those cases. Make sure if your band lesson or band rehearsal is the next day, that your mouthpiece and your book would go in your backpack and not back in the case. And then you carefully put the instrument in its case to make sure that you lay it correctly down and not upside down. This will not close. So you put it in correctly like a puzzle, close the case, and make sure the latches are firmly closed so that the instrument does not fall out. Enjoy playing your low brass instrument.